Hey everyone, welcome back again. So in this video we're going to actually take our two flying leads off of our cable here. So the DC power here. So I've got a positive 24 volt DC and then a common or 0 volt DC. It's going to be tied together, okay? And we're going to go ahead and power up this here Cognex HMI. We're going to go through the process of what we've got to do to power this up. So just for my own sanity and just something to get it done out of the way real quick is I'm going to go ahead and strip these two wires. And each person's a little different how they want to do it. I actually have a method where I like to strip my wire back, and I like to kind of go ahead and get them twisted up real tight. And then a lot of times if they're a little too long, which these are a little too long, is I'll bend over the tip. And I don't know if I can give you a nice clean view of that, but you can kind of see where it's bent over a little bit. So I'll take the tip and I'll just bend it over a little bit. And the reason why I do that, a lot of people probably be like, well, that's kind of stupid. Like, you're just adding more wire inside of a terminal and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I would agree with you. I get more surface contact of these wires here. And that's the benefit that I like about it. Yeah, I still only have, I want to say probably 18 gauge, maybe 20 gauge. I think these are 20 gauge, 22 gauge. I still only have 22 gauge connection when it wiggles on the connection point. But I still have more surface area of wire getting to the connector itself. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and do that. This terminal right here, we've got to unscrew this termination block out of here in order to get to the wiring connections that are within this system. So, go ahead and unscrew all of these. Pull the little terminal block out. Now I've got access into the screw terminals. Put the wires in, screw terminal it in. But I need to pay attention to what the unit itself says. So, I can see that the far one to the right is going to be the positive, and then the middle one's the negative, and I don't have a ground on this particular application. Not a huge concern to me, because the only piece of metal I have is right here, so that's the only place that I could get shocked. Yeah, there is the risk that I could have transient currents out there that could potentially fry the system, but for what it is and for what we're doing here, it's the least of my concern. So, I'll go ahead and I'll loosen up the terminal a little bit so that way I have access into it. Go ahead and stick the wire in, making sure to keep the insulation. I don't know if you can see that real well, but I'll make sure to keep the insulation away from the metal of the contact so I don't get insulation caught inside of that, thus potentially ruining my connection itself. Go ahead and tighten that down. If you're anything like me, I like to make sure it's really well torqued in there, which is kind of a flaw. Sometimes I'll end up stabbing my hand. And then same thing with this particular one, is I'll go ahead and shove it in there just till the insulation's on the outside. Again, go ahead and tighten that down. Then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and stick that terminal back in the way it's supposed to go, back into the slot. Go ahead and screw those back in, tighten them down. Okay, and just for the sake of the video, I'm not going to tighten them in very tight. Okay, and then you could go ahead, if you had the cable and everything and you really wanted to get creative, you could go ahead and wire that in and make it look nice and everything, and I'll go ahead and just do it just for the sake of the video. If you had the cable up to there, I would have probably not stripped this as far. In this particular application, I probably would have gone ahead and cut these wires off, because all I'm doing is powering this up and I'll never use this cable for anything other than power. But needless to say, that's not what this application is, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. Make sure the power switch is, I probably want to go ahead and keep it off while I'm going and powering this thing up. I will tell you my power supply is a little bit underpowered for this particular HMI, so we're going to have to see where we go from there. Go ahead and plug in our power supply here. Power it on. And see if this will come on. It looks like my power supply is kind of failing me right now, so let's just see. Oh, look at that. Power supply is okay. So, we've got power. Our unit's coming on. It's coming online really well. And we'll just let it boot up and see what happens. And a lot of times they take a little time. You can see there's kind of a, if you look at it carefully, there's kind of a charge bar here that's going to tell us like when it's loaded and where it's at. It's been a long time since I've had this particular unit on, so I'm not really sure what's going to pop up, what it's going to tell us is on there. So It's kind of loading right now. So let's just see. Launching operating system now. That's what it's saying right there to us. And so, kind of go through its bootloader and see what happens here. And anyway, I'll catch you on the next video when it loads up. So, thank you all for watching.